Good morning, good day, good afternoon, everybody. We're going to wait for a minute while a few more people come in the door, the virtual door, and at the top of the hour, we're gonna go for it. Hope everyone is doing fantastic today. And there we are. It's the top of the hour. Debbie, can you still hear me?
I can.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Doug Stryker with Savvy Training and Consulting. And with me is our fantastic trainer, Debbie Dalrymple, here to give us a concise and detailed overview interview of ChatGPT and all the cool things about it. As a reminder, this webinar is being recorded. It'll be available to everybody who's here and everybody who's not here later today once it spins up. We are watching the Q&A panel and the chat panel. So if you have questions or chats, just please pop it in the box and we will address it probably at the end of the session. And honestly, if there's enough questions, and I hope there are, we can always do another session next month and address all that stuff. So with that being said, I am going to make Debbie, you the presenter, and away we go. We need to hear you.
Do you see my screen?
Yep, I got your screen.
All right. Welcome, everybody. We are going to learn a little bit more about AI, and I'm going to be showing you a little demo of some things that I've done with it and give you some ideas of what it is and what it isn't. So first of all, we're talking today about artificial intelligence or AI. So AI is built to solve a specific task. We've got examples of AI all over in our lives. So for example, a chess game on your computer. That's an example of AI that is good at a specific task. And that's the type of AI that we have right now, is AI that is built to solve a specific problem that's way better than humans at a specific task. Your calculator, your chess game, things like that. There's another thing that the AI community is building towards, and it's kind of the ultimate goal, and that is AGI. AGI is artificial general intelligence, and that is what we're probably all afraid of, and that doesn't exist. AGI, artificial general intelligence, is AI that can solve any problem the way a human can, so that can pivot and make decisions and use some information to create new information and change behaviors and things like that. That doesn't exist yet. That is artificial general intelligence. And so what we're going to be seeing and talking about today is AI. And as such, it's more contained. So it's built to solve a specific problem. What we're going to specifically look at today is a component of AI called ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is kind of interesting because when you first hear about it, you think, oh, it's a way to chat. Well, how can that do a thing? And so we're going to log into it, take a little tour of it, and see what it can do for us, because it's not necessarily just about having a conversation, but it's also not going to make your coffee in the morning for you yet. So here I am on a website. The website is openai.com, and you can come here to see their particular version of information about AI. At the top of the screen, you'll see there's some options, one of which is ChatGPT, but I'm going to go in the far right corner and go to the login screen. So when I click login, that's going to take me to the three components of OpenAI's version of AI, and those are ChatGPT, which we'll be touring today, DALL-E, which is a way to make images and art, if you will, and then the API, or the Application Programming Interface. The API is for someone who's a programmer who wants to integrate components of artificial intelligence into their applications that they are writing. And then, as I mentioned, this DALL-E is a way to create photographs. So you've heard of people creating a picture of Donald Trump smoking a cigar, for example, and it's not real. That's what is happening here. This is not a free component. You can actually buy credits for as little as $15, and then you can tell it what kind of picture you want it to make. And so you can already sort of see what some of the concerns might be with AI is creating a very realistic picture of a thing that didn't happen. And if you do much reading on that, you'll see that some people will say they see little indicators of something that isn't real. But for the average person, it's pretty easy to be tricked by some of these things. So we're going to go into ChatGPT, look at some of the chats that I've already conducted, create a new one, and talk about the pros and cons and the things to watch out for. So I'm going to click now on ChatGPT, and this is going to bring me to the login screen. If I don't already have an account, I can sign up for free, and I can use my email address to do that, or I can use one of my existing accounts, Google, Microsoft, or Apple. I personally would shy away from those because then it's already integrated with another thing you have. And so if you want to discontinue this, it's a little bit harder to disengage those. And then with that little caution, I'll log in with my Google account. So here I'm going to go ahead and log in. And when you first log into ChatGPT, if you don't have any previous chats, over here on the left, this will be blank. And at the top here, you'll see ChatGPT 3.5 and GPT-4. So that's one of the differences right now, and is that there are two versions. ChatGPT 3.5 is free and is limited. So AI only knows what it's been trained with. So if it hasn't been fed the information, it isn't able to glean things from the information. So ChatGPT 3.5 has only been trained with data up to 2021. And so it will never be able to research an event for you that happened in 2023 or 2022 because it doesn't have the information. That limitation was lifted with GPT-4, but GPT-4 is not free. It is something that you have to upgrade to, and so you need to be a little more committed to using this as a tool to step forward to GPT-4. But it no longer has a data limitation that GPT-3.5 has. So we're going to take a little look here. So in the main screen here, you see there's some examples of something you might want to do, show me a code snippet, come up with a concept, help me study, and so forth. And then at the bottom, there's a screen that says send a message. And you can send a message, but really what you're doing is asking it to do something, asking it for some information, and so forth. So the first time that I really started listening to people who were talking about ChatGPT was at Christmas time when we were having a gift exchange, and some of the younger people in the group said, well, we asked ChatGPT how many steals you could do in a white elephant exchange if you had a group of 14, and it told us the proper number was 3. And I was like, oh, I thought this was a chat thing, but they're asking it these questions. And so I decided to go look at it myself. And I'm going to take you to that first thing that I did. And you'll see that happened here in January, right after Christmas. And the topic doesn't make any sense really, but a friend of mine had told me that his kid was also using it to write his college papers. So I decided I needed to learn a little bit more for myself. And I went in and I asked it a couple of questions like, can you write a paper for me? And you'll see that the first thing it said, well, I certainly can help you write a paper, but it's more important that you do it yourself. And then it explained to me how I could write a paper, which I wasn't really trying to do, but I just wanted to see what its answer would be. And then as I went through it, I decided to ask a couple more questions. And then I decided I was currently in the market for a backup service, an online backup service for one of my clients. So I decided to ask GPT, what's the best cloud backup service? And it responded, there are many backup services, blah, blah, blah. these are some things you should look for, and here are some popular cloud backup services. And it mentioned to me 3 services, none of which are backup services. Those are all file sharing services. None of them perform backups, give you incremental backups and things like that. So my point here is I asked it a question. It gave me a very intelligent looking answer that was 100% inaccurate. So I was asking it to give me some facts, and it gave me a wrong answer. And then I said, those are not backup services. Those are cloud storage services. And it said, you are correct. Those are cloud storage services rather than backup services. So what's the point? I can't ask it a question and trust its answer. And that really hasn't changed. You can ask it questions. It can gather information for you, but you still need to check and probably double check the information that it gives you. So, and what's interesting, at least it doesn't argue with you when you tell it it's wrong, but isn't really that helpful if you give it information or ask for information and it comes back with something's wrong. And we've probably all heard about the law firms that have gotten in trouble for submitting briefs that were not written by them and had references to cases that don't exist and things like that. So those are some of the cautions with ChatGPT. So I could ask it a question, and it's a little faster than Googling because it's going to gather all the information and give me one answer. But can I trust the answer? When I Google it myself, I can go to each site, I can see what the source was, evaluate how much I trust that source, and then move on from there. So what you'll see is after this experience with ChatGPT in January, I didn't touch it again for a while. And then April came and I decided I was going to play with it again. Probably somebody in my world mentioned it again. And I found some interesting things when I addressed it the second time. So here's an example. I went into this scenario here and I asked it to write a letter for me. And I gave him a couple of details about what the trust or what the letter needed to be about. So I gave it a couple of facts and said, please write this letter. And I think it did a great job of writing this letter. And I gave it the facts. I wasn't asking it to go get the facts, but it wrote this letter in a much better way than I probably would have, and in a definitely much faster way than I would have. So I think this is a great use of ChatGPT. Is you have a letter that you need to write, you have the facts, you know the details you want included, you can say them in whatever uncapitalized, moderately good English you want to spell it out in, and ChatGPT can take that letter and write it for you. Now, it did make an assumption in this letter that was not accurate, but all I have to do is now copy this letter into Word, customize the pieces of it that need customized or corrected, and now I've got a letter that it took me moments to write instead of that 20 minutes to think of what my first sentence is going to be and then writing the actual letter. So this is an example of when it is a great tool to help you do your job faster. It's not taking your job from you because you still need it to provide it with the information with which to write the letter. Another thing that we did in this episode of playing with ChatGPT is a friend of mine decided that he wanted to write a business plan for a barbecue restaurant. And so we just simply told it to write the plan. It organized the plan, it put in some good text to get us started, and then we could copy this and we could fill in the details like, maybe our revenue is not going to be 3.1 billion by 2025 and so forth. But still nicely organized, typed in moments, way faster than what we would have done, and got us going quickly. I know a lot of people mention that it's that first paragraph, it's that first idea, getting going with something that you're writing. So this is something that GPT can be very good at for you. And now we're going to fast forward into current situations. And I have a client who's a Social Security disability law firm. And if any of you ever have to summarize medical records, it seems to be a universally unloved task. And so my client is asking me, well, can I feed my medical records into ChatGPT and have it give me back a summary. And of course, my first red flag was you're going to feed confidential information into the internet. And so, of course, I'm not recommending that piece of it, but I did want to see what it could do. So I wanted to find a record and take the confidential information out and see what result I got. And so what I did was I found a practice medical record on the internet and I copied it and I pasted it into Word. And you can see it looks like a mess because I guess it took all the hard returns out, but that will make our demo even more significant. It does still have a fake name in it and a date. So I'm going to select the entire medical record and copy it out of Word. And then I'm going to come back over here to ChatGPT, and I am going to choose the new chat option in the top left. And down here it says send a message. I am going to ask it to summarize the following medical record. And then for those of you who don't know, if you press Shift Enter, it will give you a new line instead of pressing Enter to submit your request. And then I'm going to press Control V to paste that entire thing into my ChatGPT. And then I'm going to click Send Message. And you'll see here I have a button that says Stop Generating. I have 3 dots down here in the message telling me that it is generating. And you'll see, you can watch it while it types up this medical record. And I don't know about your typing skills, but these are a little better than mine. So I'm just going to scroll back up here to the top. You'll see that it's pulled out the patient's name and date and some of the history. And this may be more detail or less detail than you need, but the main thing is it got me started. It gave me something that I could copy and paste back into Word and clean up and delete and so forth. But I didn't have to do the entire cleanup or the entire typing, as the case may be. So here is my medical record, and I can simply copy and paste. I can also, at the top of my note here, I can click clipboard to copy it and go wherever I need to and paste it. So here's my chat from today. So as you can see, it's keeping track of all the chats that I create. And that kind of begs the question, but what are they doing with my data? Because if it's on the internet, it's not completely yours. It's not private to you. So let's look at what some of the options are in your ChatGPT account. Here in the bottom left, you see my name, and to the right of my name, you see 3 dots. Those 3 dots take me to the settings option. And in here, I have the first option of clear all chats. So if I were ready to wipe out all those chats, I could go ahead and clear them just to clean up. But keep in mind, they were already on the internet for months and months. And when you allow ChatGPT to store your chats, you are agreeing that they can be used to improve their models. So I've moved now to the Data Controls tab. And in here, you have the option to turn off your chat history and training, and they are encompassed in the same option. So I can turn, I never turned this on, by the way, so it is on by default. That says save all my new chats, and then allow them to be used for their models. Unsaved chats will be deleted from their systems within 30 days. So you can do a little more digging to get more specific, but just a note, and this comes back to my confidentiality with medical records or with anything that you don't want to be public information, I might suggest you don't put it on the internet. But you can at least turn this off, which means you are not necessarily allowing them to use your chats to improve their models. If you have shared links to a chat, this is where you can manage them. And you can share a link to a chat. At the bottom of your chat, there's a button that says share, which would allow you to share a chat result with one of your colleagues or someone. You can also export all of your data and have a copy of whatever it is before you clear it out. And then this is also where you would go to delete your account. So you can see there's not a bunch of settings in ChatGPT. There's just your general, how does it look, and then a little bit of data controls. So again, anything you don't want to be on the internet, don't put on the internet. And then I'm going to go ahead and click close out of these settings. And I'm going to go back to the 3 dots next to my name in the bottom right and go to custom instructions. So with the medical record, for example, maybe it was more verbose than you needed, maybe less, and so forth. So I haven't played around a lot with these custom instructions, but there are 2 options here. What would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? And how would you like it to respond? And we're all getting our national morning. So the first thing is, if you click in here on how you want ChatGPT to provide better responses, you can add background information about yourself. That may or may not be something I would do on the internet, but this one here does seem a little more helpful. How would you like ChatGPT to respond? For starters, how formal or casual should it be? And this might be something you'd want to say, create formal responses with all of my chats and so forth. Long or short, how do you want to be addressed, and so forth. So this is something that you can enable for new chats and add more detail to help guide ChatGPT along the types of responses that you would like. I'm not making any changes in here. So I'm going to go ahead and click cancel. And I'm going to roll back up to the top of our chat here. So we have, I think, options now with artificial intelligence that can most definitely make many of our jobs faster. Maybe not largely different, but even something as simple as writing a letter. If you ask it to write the letter for you, it can do the bulk of the work. You give it all the details so you don't have concerns with fact checking, and then that gets you off and running in a little bit faster manner. We definitely still have many situations where ChatGPT is either wrong or adds, individual items that are inaccurate. So it is not currently a situation where you can ask ChatGPT to go research something for you and bring you back results, and you can expect to just publish that and go on with your day. It still needs a lot of fact checking. In fact, there is a situation that I read about recently where there was a basic math problem and it was even getting that wrong. And math should be one thing that we're able to depend on computers to get right for us. But there are situations even with that it hasn't been absolutely correct. So one option would be to, when you send a request to ChatGPT, to tell it that you want it to sort its sources. Wow. And so you could at least start your fact checking there. It's still faster than Googling, but you'll have to do a little bit of checking to make sure that it's actually giving you real facts and not just things that it made up but are found, because it doesn't actually make up total facts. So I think there are opportunities to be aware and conservative, and there are also opportunities where it can help us get our jobs done a little bit faster and maybe get a little bit more productive. So that's our overview of ChatGPT today as it applies to the AI world. And I think we have a few minutes. We can maybe take a couple questions. Are there any questions in our chat, Doug or Jenny?
I don't see any yet. I was hoping somebody would run a question through ChatGPT for you.
There you go. Well, I can always ask it something if anybody would like to see that happen.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, in questions, Doug, there are some questions. Let's see. Can you ask ChatGPT to make the medical summary shorter?
I don't know if there's a word limit that you can ask it. I think you could do that with your in your settings, in your custom instructions. you could tell it that you would like short, concise responses. So you could try changing these settings, although they're not specific settings. Or you could maybe specify that I would like it to be shortened. I think you could take the same, I think you could take your result right here and say, please summarize this, not exceeding a certain amount of words, or some guidance there. Maybe if you have a paragraph or word idea in mind, you could add that in there. But you can definitely give it more instructions about how you'd like it to generate that information.
Here's another one, using the temperature in ChatGPT.
Using the temperature? Like asking it?
Yeah, there's a setting where you can set the temperature. It's almost like what you were looking at before, Deb, about with how you can set the kind of the tone you want it to respond to. Do you know where that setting is?
And these are the only settings right here. And so unless it was another AI interface where that's been used.
It's a good question. I know where it came from. Thank you, Julie, for asking. So we'll find out where that temperature setting is.
Yeah.
It came from Dan from our,
Exactly.
last week. We got a couple more. There's some very good ones in here. You all are very sweet. David, I think you're gonna have fun when you get your free account with 3.5. Talking about 3.5, relevant up to 2021 data. Will the data collection of 3.5 change at any point, or is it forcing people to go to 4.0 and the whatever $20 a month if they want current data?
Yes, I believe it is forcing them to go to 4.
Okay. Can ChatGPT get information from public records, and can it search in public databases?
So that's a great question. I am not sure what its access is to systems where you would need a membership or a login or something like that. But because primarily AI has information that it has been fed, as opposed to it decided to go do research. So that's a question that I'm going to have to find the answer for.
All right. Lastly, almost lastly, thank you, Karen, for the question. She went to sign in for OpenAI, and it's asking already for their name and birthday. Should it be real or should it be fake, and is that normal?
It is normal, and I never put my real birthday in there. But sometimes it's going to ask you later, and you'll have to remember what fake birthday you used. So I do have a fake birthday that I always use, because that is not unique to ChatGPT. And later on, if it's trying to identify you so you can unlock your account, you'll still need to know.
All right. Fantastic. And AJ, I'm with you. How do I win the lottery? I think we'd all like to know that, but if we all knew the answer, then it just dilutes the pot. Let's see what else we have. Is there, David, thank you for this one. Is there a risk of importing malware or viruses into your computer from ChatGPT?
No, because it is purely a screen with text on it that you are copying and pasting, and all you're pasting and copying is letters and characters. So there is not a way for that to happen from this.
Excellent. Let's see. 2, does there's a bunch of these tools. So ChatGPT versus Claude AI. How do you know, like, what are the better systems? Is it Bing? Is it like, where of the variety of AI options, why ChatGPT instead of something else?
I think that's a little bit of a Pepsi or Coke question, but OpenAI is currently the leader. They're the originals, and so they have a little bit more leeway. I actually was just reading an article this morning about about that and how Bing isn't really catching up, and it's got a tiny fraction of the market share right now, but that doesn't mean it's going to stay like that.
Sounds good. And then let's close, since it's at the bottom of the hour now, let's close with this one. Mike asks, I guess it's a twofold question, the way I'm interpreting it. Do you feel that the answers from ChatGPT are getting better over time and usage? And then follow up, how do you force it to give you better answers?
I think if you tell it to cite its sources, it seems to do so. So you can, I don't know that that's forcing it to give you a better answer, but it is forcing it to at least give you more confidence. And re-asking the question does not regenerate the same results. So re-asking the question also can help.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna, this is Anna Lee, I want to jump in real quick. The answer to setting the temperature is just in typing temperature and the setting that you want. And the lower 0.1 to 0.4 is the lowest, and the highest is 1.0. And so you just type it in, temperature.
And I think it's related to how wide of a variety of answers you're looking for versus a higher temperature is more precise of an answer to the question. So getting rid.
Well, it is about preciseness and kind of emotion.
Yeah. All right, fantastic. Debbie, thank you so much for this. To all of our attendees from wherever you are on your computers around the world, thank you so much for attending. We'd love to do this again, answer more questions, dive deeper. If you have any ideas for us, please just ping the Savvy website. It does not have AI or ChatGPT on it, but it'll go actually directly to me. If you click on or go to info@savvytraining.com. Also, small plug, we have a lot of great videos on the Savvy YouTube channel, and our AI ChatGPT webinar from last week or 2 weeks ago is on that Savvy YouTube channel. Please check it out. And we hope you all had a great time today. Thank you for your questions. That being said, Debbie, fantastic as always. Everybody, have a great afternoon.